guess I'm ready too then. All right, good evening, everybody. It is 6 p.m., so I will call to order the special meeting of Thursday, September 22nd, 2022. Please join me for a flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Assembly of the City and Borough of Sitka would like to respectfully acknowledge the traditional first people of Sitka. With gratitude, we proceed on Tlingit Ani. Sarah, roll call, please.
Mayor Eisenbeis,
Present.
Mr. Knox,
Here.
Mr. Mosier,
Here.
Ms. Duncan, here, and Mr. Miller.
Here.
Ms. Himshoot and Mr. Christensen are absent this evening.
Great, thank you. Persons to be heard. This is public participation for any item off of tonight's agenda, not to exceed 3 minutes for any individual. Is there anyone for persons to be heard this evening? All right, seeing none, that would bring us to new business, which is to award our fiscal year 23 annual general fund nonprofit grants. Tonight, we will have a assembly discussion about our award amounts, see if the assembly, if we have any comments about them, at which time there are some motions I believe the assembly intends to make. At that point, we will open it up to public comment if anyone has any comments about the particular award funds. I do want to start out tonight. Brian, I know I had raised a question with you through email about the city being able to donate cash to the Sitka Lutheran Church. Can you expand upon that to see if we actually are legally able to donate to the church?
Yes. First, I need to make a disclosure. I am a member of the Sitka Lutheran Church. I'm inactive, but I am a member. I think I can give this opinion without any bias or concern on the part, if you're willing.
Yes, thank you. If the assembly feels we need another opinion, we can go down that route, but I appreciate your disclosure tonight.
We've actually crossed this bridge before in recent years. Some of you were on the assembly a few years ago when St. Michael's Church was seeking a donation for exterior construction costs. And at that time, I did render an opinion that as long as the donation from the city passed what was called the lemon test, that they could go forward. Ultimately, that assembly did not award the $5,000 request, but really briefly here, the Constitution of the United States and Alaska has in the First Amendment, has an establishment clause that prohibits entanglement between church and state. And under circumstances, though, there is case law that says that a municipality could donate money to a church if it was for a secular purpose, second, if it neither advanced nor inhibits religion, and third, if it didn't create an excessive entanglement of government and religion. So this is a test that you would have to apply to see whether or not this particular request for a donation meets that test. If you recall, or I'll tell you that the St. Michael Church donation was for an exterior, and it was linked to their the public of being an icon for the community. And as a result of that, I believe that that's why I rendered my opinion that said that making that donation, because it didn't promote their church, it didn't promote their religion, that it was okay to do so. I don't know what exactly the Sitka Lutheran Church wants to spend their money for, but if they're spending it for something that doesn't entangle their religion with our government, then I think you could proceed and decide to make that donation.
Okay, in this instance, they're wanting to serve meals to those in need.
For a program. And
my understanding is it's open to anyone in need. There
Right.
are, in their request, they indicated 3 or 4 other churches that host once a week, and they were just part of that circle.
Well, maybe some questions as to whether or not they're going to provide religious services at that, where they're going to have handouts, things like that, that would inappropriately entangle the donation. Maybe something you want to do here in making your decision. That's really broad strokes here. If you want more detail, we can get into a dialogue here.
I want it easy. I want a yes or a no. And the reason I ask is because I would like to support the Sitka Lutheran Church in their mission to feed the hungry. However, you'll notice on my spot right now, it's zeroed out because I was unaware or unsure of the potential legal consequences of doing as such. Initially, Brian, it feels to me as if this could go forward. Are you seeing any red flags at this point that is jumping out to you?
I mean, that's my instinctual feeling that it could go forward. Like I said, I think the only thing that would give me pause is that they were using that opportunity to have a church service to the people that they were serving food to, or do some kind of proselytizing at that time. So you could make the donation conditional on that, I suppose.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
So, yeah, I mean, it feels to me like it would be fine. I think, say, the Salvation Army, I would imagine that they serve their meals. They probably say a prayer or something like that. It's pretty standard. I don't think, and if that was the case in this situation, I don't think that would be trying to proselytize anyone. They're just trying to provide meals for those who are hungry.
Yeah, and I just read in here, it says, no questions are asked and no requirements must be met in order to receive a meal. Sarah, hearing that, I'm at this point comfortable going forward. Can you, as I did have $1,000 left over in my allocation, can you please put $1,000 under Sitka Lutheran Church for me? And now that I have that somewhat cleared up, I'm going to keep thinking about it as the night goes on. Are there any other assembly comments about our allocations tonight and our process? That gives me a long time to think about it then, doesn't it? If there are no comments about our process, we can move into motions.
We're gonna move right into it.
Unless you had something else.
No, I would prefer, let's have Dave give it a start.
Sarah's hungry. She wants to.
So we've done it different ways in the past. Are you looking for moving forward with the averages, or are you looking for somebody to jump on moving on their own allocations?
I think if someone jumped on their own allocations, that would defeat the purpose of averaging them out. The averages have come up because that is the crux of the assembly members' decisions tonight. We also, in one instance that I can remember, have changed that funding amount individually. If you have concerns about any of the funding amounts, I think we should talk about it before we go, and we can get that figured out before the motion is made, perhaps.
Well, before any motions are made, I think, I owe an explanation at least to one of my allocation amounts, the one under human services, cultural and educational, and the American Legion Post 13. I did not award anything within that, that request, in part because it's a member-only organization. And for me, dedicating public funds to a member-only organization was somewhat problematic. So I left that particular one at 0. The other piece of it for me, while I'm extremely happy that the organizational leadership has come around and is recognizing this as a past problem and is trying to rectify, the American Legion was often one of the organizations that was most vocal and leading the charge on preventing or continuing to allow, I guess, indoor public smoking. And much of the grant is asking for repairs to damaged infrastructure within the hall because of secondhand smoke and indoor public smoking. So that to me was also kind of a hitch for me. But again, I am really happy that leadership sees it as a past problem and is trying to rectify that. So my explanation on that one.
And I can't disagree with some of your reasonings. I just want to further the conversation a little bit. The Sitka Fast Pitch Softball Club, to me, that's a members only organization as well.
But anybody can join. You don't have to be of a certain, but to join the American Legion, you must be a veteran.
Okay.
So I cannot join. I know that I'm allowed to come into the Legion if I have a sponsor bring me in, but not everybody can be a member of the American Legion.
Okay. Understood. Thank you for explaining. Any other assembly comments on allocations?
I guess I'll just kind of second what Kevin said. I did award them $500 under mine, however, but it was the reason why I had a reduced amount was because of the members only issue there as well. But I did offer 500 though.
Dave?
I'm not going to speak to any one particular donation, but this is really sort of a tough thing, you know, because I know somebody that's involved in each one of these organizations wholeheartedly and really gives their soul to it, you know, to make it work. And I think that's a great thing. So as I'm reading through the 100 pages or whatever it was of information that I read 3 or 4 times, trying to figure out which ones I thought were, you know, great and good and so and da. It was, man, by the time I was done with that, I spent the day doing that. By the time I was done, I had no idea what I was reading anymore and who was who in the zoo. So it was sort of a unique thing to be overall fair about how you divided up the money. I mean, it was, you know, you wanted to make sure it was going to a good cause, and they're all good causes. You know, I can say I, you know, got a granddaughter that's in fast pitch, and I got a this, and then you go, man, it's just amazing to deal with all that turmoil in this small brain that I have. In 100 pages of information, it was interesting to read about all the organizations and what all they do and everything. But this was a tough thing to figure out and how to allocate that money. I wish we had a couple $100,000. We could have gave everybody more than they asked for, but we don't have that much, sorry.
Crystal?
Yeah, so for my numbers, I literally wrote down the incorrect amount, so they add up to the amount that I wrote down. So that was my error. So I would up those numbers to the maximum. Want to revisit last year as an assembly. I think we maxed out the 3 categories, if I recall, and then we had a small amount left over that we awarded to one of the organizations, I believe, that benefited children somehow. I don't remember what it was, but is that my recollection? Is that the process that we used? And are we trying to figure out if we want to max the amount or roll some over for the next year. What is our discussion? And again, my numbers are lower just because I was using a different, I wrote it out incorrectly. That's why I'm pulling down the average there.
Okay, so two things with that. Number one, if you want to change your allocation at the table in order to utilize the $45,000, you're welcome to during this process. And then number two, we can bank some more for the emergency requests because every year we do bank $5,000. Anything above and beyond that, I'm sure would be appreciated for any emergency requests that do come in. So I think we'll, Kevin, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna kind of ditto what Dave said. I do feel that, all these are very good causes, and I struggle with this every year because it feels very subjective. Trying to decide which organization has more value. It's just really hard. To be honest with you, I'm a little uncomfortable with the process, but perhaps we can revisit the process this year to kind of make it a little better and more fair. That's just a thought I'm throwing out there.
Crystal, if you're ready.
Oh, I don't have numbers, but I just wanted to weigh in on the process that I use. So I kind of made that same designation. I went through and said, does this warrant money for what they're trying to do? And then I tried to be equitable across the board. So like for the first category, I think I started with 65%, had a little bit left over, again, based off of my incorrect number that I pulled. And then I split that between the three. So it was about 65% is what I awarded. So I wasn't, the one thing that we discussed was Legion, and I had a little bit of question there as well. So that's the only one where the numbers are off. Otherwise, I just tried to kind of divvy it based off of what they requested. I thought all of these warranted or were moving in a direction that would warrant an award from us this year. And so the only one that's not kind of equitable was Legion, kind of for the similar questions that were brought up as part of the discussion. So that was what I used as I was going through the process.
And Kevin?
Okay, so I'm ready to start making motions, but I don't want to do that before Crystal
Yeah.
has her numbers, so we have the good averages, I guess.
That's all right, Crystal. I'll fill the dead air with some. Yeah, it's been my experience as well that this process is. Sarah has laid out a great process for us. However, sometimes we go left and right and up and down, and it is, each individual assembly member's awards are very subjective. I've personally changed my mind on the process multiple times. Sometimes I've valued children. That was my priority. Sometimes I valued our elderly. That was my priority. So those particular groups got more funding that year. And I also understand the equitability part of it. If there's one request that asks for all the money, does it necessarily, should it get all the money compared to others? So it's hard. And I like the process. I don't know how we can necessarily make it better because, and actually you'll see this on mine, there's also kind of gaming the averages where it's not set in code that each one of these cultural and educational, human services, community development, that they don't have to receive that $10,000. So, my averages aren't exactly as stated there, and that kind of, it plays the game a little bit with the averages. So we come up with the numbers that we do. So Thursday night football is on tonight, huh? And we'll just stand in recess until Assemblymember Duncan can get the correct numbers out there. I believe this to be an important process so that each average allocation is maximized here. So it'll be well worth your time to stand by and see if your award amount increases. even though it looks like we'll have $750 to allocate over the averages. So might get it all, you might get a dollar. And sir, I just want to let you know, we had seen your hand there will be a public comment opportunity when your particular award amount is mentioned and a motion is made. So not ignoring you, just have a process to follow. Yeah, and there will be an opportunity. Well, I don't see anyone jumping for joy because their award amount went through the roof. So, all right. Well, thanks for bearing with us for a minute while we maximized our allocation and maximized the amounts that we were able to help out the nonprofits this evening. So unless there's any further discussion.
I move to award the following fiscal year 23 general fund nonprofit grants in the category of human services. Braveheart Volunteers, $7,583. Sitka Homeless Coalition, $15,500. And Sitka Lutheran Church, $917.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to award the nonprofit grants in the amount you see up on the board for human services category. Is there any public comment on those three donation amounts? Yeah, great. If you could have a seat, state your, or you don't have to sit down, but state your name for the record. And there is the microphone, the button on the bottom. Turn that microphone on. There you go. Yep. And then just state your name for the record and you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Andrew Hinton. I'm the new director of the Sitka Homeless Coalition, and I really just wanted to use this as an opportunity to say thank you for your support and well, thank you for your support, and it's nice to meet the acquaintance of many of you today.
I'm Jade Nodes. I'm the co-chair of the Sitka Homeless Coalition. Also, I just wanted to thank all of you for your support for this project. In the past, this project has specifically just been getting a lot of the homeless individuals day to day. And moving forward, we're trying to make a better life for them and look to the future and really try to solve the problem of homelessness. So we just wanted to thank all of you today so much for your support.
Thank you both. Any other public comments from the human services category? Final assembly deliberation on those amounts? Sarah?
Okay, on the motion to award in the human services category, Braveheart Volunteers, $7,583, the Sitka Homeless Coalition, $15,500, and the Sitka Lutheran Church, $917. Mayor Eisenbeis,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Duncan,
Yes.
Mr. Mosier,
Yes.
and Mr. Knox.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
I move to award the following fiscal year 23 general fund nonprofit grants in the category of cultural and educational services: Alaska Arts Southeast, Sitka Fine Arts Camp, $8,750, and American Legion Post 13, $1,750.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any public comment on the awards in the cultural and educational categories? And there's a button on the very bottom and Mike will turn red. And if you could state your name for the record and you'll have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Vince Winter. I'm the commander of the American Legion Post 13. Here's Ted Alio, the adjutant of Post 13. Very gracious of the awards that we've received and all. I just wanted to clear up something about membership. Membership is open as long as you meet a specific criteria. As long as somebody in your family line has served, you are eligible for either Sons or Auxiliary, or if you served yourself as a veteran, you're a veteran. I understand, Mr. Knox, that you are eligible for our Sons of the American Legion because your father has served. It's not a really closed court thing, and we are open to the community. If you remember, they're passing COVID and all, USDA boxes came out. American Legion was one of the focal points of those boxes were given out. We're just not tied into helping veterans. We're part of the community. And I just wanted to make that part clear. I mean, I'm not expecting anybody to change their donation fee and all. I wouldn't want that. I just want the understanding that, yes, we might be a membership, but the membership's a lot broader than you do think. And important as a big part of history in Sitka, being here since 1920, not only has it been a part of Sitka, but we're responsible for a lot of things like the public library and the cemetery down the road. We were here when that started. We were the focal point that when it started. And to hold us accountable for the smoking, I wasn't even part of the membership here at that time. So it's something that we're learning. It's on the curve that we're trying to make things better. And that shouldn't have been held against us because we're trying to do the right thing now. Thank you very much. I do appreciate everything you guys do, and hats off to you.
Thank you. Ted Alio.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Are there any other public comments in cultural and educational?
I'll be brief. First of all, it's nice to be here. Nice to see all of you. Haven't been to many public things for a while, and so it's just great that we're back and doing this. Secondly, thank you for being part of public service. I really appreciate it. It takes a lot, and I don't really care what people's viewpoints are at various points. I'm always super appreciative that people are willing to be on our assembly and serve for our city. So thank you for that as well. And then also, thank you for supporting our organization. I really appreciate that too. I think that's all I wanted to say. So thank you. Oh, I did have one more thing. I knew there were 4 things I had to keep track of. The last one is, it's so great to have the city support nonprofits for our organization. Not only does this support making it possible for any kid to go to the fine arts camp, but also we bring in a lot of outside contributions, and it's so important for those contributors to see the leadership from the city that they're supporting our program. It helps us, you use that word leverage, but it really is very effective. It allows us to leverage, to bring in more money into our community to support our programs and to support our town. So really appreciate it. It's really valuable to us. Thank you.
Any other comments under cultural and educational? Any further assembly discussion? Kevin?
I appreciate, Mr. Winter, the clarification. I did not know that in the research that I had done. I guess this is not a reflection on the post 13, but maybe on the national website, it doesn't make that clear. So unfortunately, so I did not know that. It's still having limits on the membership, you know, even if it's small, I guess, in that way, I still would have some, I guess, some heartburn about the public funding going towards, you know, a narrow focus. But I don't want this to reflect that I don't appreciate all of the work that the Legion has done. I totally, you know, recognize the lift during COVID that you all did. It was quite incredible. And like I said earlier, I am very happy to see that leadership there is recognizing, you know, the true harms and a new day, I guess, around public indoor smoking and the harms of secondhand smoke. So I do appreciate that. And I didn't hold it against the application. My issue is more with the membership piece, but I do appreciate the clarification. Thanks.
Anything else from the assembly? Sarah?
Okay, on the motion to approve the awards in the cultural and educational services, Alaska Arts Southeast, $8,750, and American Legion Post 13, $1,750. Ms. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Mosier?
Yes.
Mayor Eisenbeis?
Yes.
And Mr. Knox?
Yes.
The motion passes 5-0.
I move to award the following fiscal year 23 general fund nonprofit grants in the category of community development. Sitka Fast Pitch Softball Club, $3,917, and Sitka Trail Works, $6,583.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any public comments on the community development category funding awards?
Ben Huey, Executive Director of Sitka Trail Works. Thank you so much for running this program. The CBS nonprofit grants have been an integral part of our annual budgets for over a decade. Sitka Trail Works, as you know, has been serving this community for multiple decades. We're responsible for bringing in millions of dollars of federal and state funding to create an infrastructure corridor that serves our emergency responders, multimodal transportation, and increases the health of our community. Specifically this year, we are asking for funds to support our planning process. In 2003, Sitka Trail Works led the development of the Sitka Trail Plan that conceived of the Cross Trail, the Herring Cove to Beaver Lake, Thimbleberry to Heart Lake. The most popular destinations, outdoor recreation destinations in this community, are because they were in that plan. Then we were able to go to funders at the state level, at the federal level, and bring money into our community that goes into wages and materials purchased locally, and develop this community, create permanent infrastructure. But we were only able to do that because we had the general staff time covered in pre-planning that you can't put on grants, the time that it takes to build these plans, to do the initial designs, you can't get funded by the feds and the states. And so this general fund that the city provides is essential for us to be able to chase that money and bring it back to our community. So we're now looking at the next 20 years. Where do we want to go? We've reached out to the community in the spring. I sent you all an way overly long email that I imagine didn't get fully read. We reached over 800 Sitkans. Our survey had 787 responses, and we saw an outpouring of enthusiasm for new trail construction while keeping up what we have. And so we understand that Sitkans want more, and we've got to work with Department of Public Works and the U.S. Forest Service and state parks to figure out how we can improve our maintenance capacity. So we're looking for different funding where we could build out a crew program at Sitka Trail Works. Again, requires that that staff time to write the grants and to chase that. So thank you so much for the opportunity. We're excited about what the future brings. We'll be coming with a draft plan to the assembly. I want to do a work session at some point this fall about what specific proposals we could bring forward. And your support will help us create an actionable plan that can leverage funds in the future. Thanks so much.
Any other comments under community development? Seeing none. Assembly deliberation. Sarah?
Okay, on the motion to award the amounts in the category of community development to Sitka Fast Pitch Softball Club, $3,917, and Sitka Trail Works, $6,583. Mayor Eisenbeis,
Yes.
Mr. Mosier,
Yes.
Ms. Duncan,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
and Mr. Knox.
Yes.
The motion passes 5-0.
That'll conclude our business under the nonprofit grant awards. That'll bring us to persons to be heard. This is public participation for an item on or off of tonight's agenda, not to exceed 3 minutes. Anyone to address the assembly this evening on anything? Except the football score? We'll turn your mic off. That'll bring us to adjournment.
Motion to adjourn?
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Thank you for your time this evening. We are adjourned.